we're on to the final. We have our final category here. We have the our game of the year, or our favorite game on the Citadel Awards. So, Mass Effect.
Had to get a Mass Effect.
Had to get a Mass Effect reference in there. So, game of the year. So our nominees are, I picked God of War Ragnarok.
Boring.
Phoenix picked Arceus, and metalgamer picked Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So, I'll go first, I guess. I did feel like, in my opinion, this was a bit tough for me because I was thinking of Arceus, and I don't know, I feel like the quality of Ragnarok is kind of what sold me ultimately. Like, Arceus was interesting in terms of the new things it was doing, but Ragnarok was, yes, more of the same, but it's a really good more of the same, which I'm kind of curious why. Would you say in a way was Ragnarok similar to the Horizon game?
I was just going to say
it's more of the same, but it's really good. More of the same. Like,
it's like it leans the other way. So like Horizon was still a really good game, but I don't feel like it needed to exist. Like the mechanics were the same or were as good as before. The graphics were as good as before. The narrative, which I'll tell you, for me, a lot of it always comes down to narrative. Like that kind of.
That's kind of why I went with Ragnarok over Arceus, was the narrative aspect.
Yeah, God of War, the narrative needed, or has a good rationale for why it needed to be there, right? It was a continuation, the conclusion of this saga.
Grand tale.
Horizon's got a narrative going. Maybe it's just I'm not digging it so much, but I think you could have left Horizon the first game and been done. They didn't enhance the gameplay enough to kind of justify his existence, and the narrative didn't. Although God of War, I would argue, didn't necessarily justify his existence based upon like the gameplay or the graphics, although they're excellent. We saw that before. But the narrative, I think, makes it worthwhile to exist. So that's my breakdown of why.
Yeah, it's a quality freaking game. Like it's great voice acting. The world's super interesting. You have a returning character that is like super beloved in video games. And it kind of closes a chapter in certain ways on certain things within the story. I don't know. It almost in a way kind of felt like an Avengers movie where it's like you're not blown away. Yeah. I don't want to say I wasn't blown away, but like it was just, I got what I wanted. I got what I was expecting. I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know. I don't want to say it didn't blow me away because there were certain sections like fighting the serpent at the tree was really cool, and then the battle with the wolf was super fun. I mean, there are certain sections that are like super memorable, but I don't know. Martin Scorsese wouldn't have liked it because I don't know. It felt very Avengers to me, where I was like, I enjoyed that. That was a fun ride.
That's fair. I mean, I think with God of War, I know this isn't my pick. I mean, it's a good game. I think it's an obvious choice in some ways. It's not like an exciting game of the year. Like, God of War is a good game. It really is. But for me, it's still not anything like, I don't know, pushing a genre or anything like that. It doesn't take any big risks. Like, it's quality through and through. But it's more the same in a good way. I'm glad it exists, but
something I heard on a podcast recently was actually touching on a thing that we actually talked about. And it was somebody I really enjoy on one of the IGN podcasts. But like they tore into the whole Ragnarok section of the game, and a lot of the points they were making, I was like,
that was the weakest part.
I was like, yeah, that section was pretty lackluster.
Yeah,
and
the ending of the game,
the stuff you were actually doing was nowhere near as interesting as the stuff happening in the background.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Well, again, Ragnarok was my pick. I still enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. So go ahead, Phoenix, for your pick.
Okay, I finally get one more chance to talk about how great Arceus was.
5 minutes.
5 minutes at least. I'm curious what your fiance is thinking of Arceus. If she's been having a good time with it yet, or if she's kind of perplexed by it. I think I liked it because this, for one, was the first deviation. A big deviation that kind of pushed the Pokemon gameplay into a different direction. So that's what made me most excited about it. And although the game clearly is lacking a lot, like, I'm not trying to come in here saying Arceus is the best game ever, but especially in comparison to Scarlet and Violet, and I can't help but make that comparison. Arceus did a lot of it better, and I think it was just more unique with it. I think Scarlet and Violet took a step back, and it really makes you favor or kind of look at Arceus in a new light. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. If you haven't played Arceus and you played Scarlet and Violet, I definitely recommend don't skip over Arceus. Go back.
If you skipped Arceus and went to Scarlet and Violet, go back and play Arceus.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
You'll see. I think a lot of people are kind of praising Scarlet and Violet for being the one that kind of made these big innovations with the open world or whatnot. But Arceus is really what did that, and I think it did it better in a lot of ways. But I'll just leave it there. As it was the biggest surprise to me this year, how much I really enjoyed getting into it, and it's a game I still think back to from this year with wanting to go back and play it even more.
Yeah, and if they would have just named Pokemon Arceus like Pokemon, I don't know, Color and Color, I bet you it may have drawn a little bit more attention to it. The fact that it wasn't my mainline.
Well, okay, so Arceus
push title.
You make me talk about this more.
Oh, sorry.
Arceus was missing some big features. I'm not saying Arceus was a complete game. Scarlet and Violet brought in the competitive side, which I said there's two different Pokemon fans. There's the ones who want to fight. There's ones who want to collect. And Arceus was really all on the collecting side, so it alienated a lot of people. And most of the pushback I saw from Arceus, I mean, there was the obvious, it looks bad, the world was bland, all true stuff. But a lot of people didn't like that it missed that competitive gameplay. Mm-hmm. Scarlet and Violet brought that back, but they missed out, I don't know, the core heart or X factor that I think Arceus had. So we need to find a way to really push them together in, I think, a better way. Scarlet and Violet didn't do that. So out of the two big Pokemon games this year, Arceus is my pick, so I'm sticking with it.
Okay, Metal, go ahead for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Okay, I was gonna add a little bit to Arceus, but okay.
No, I want to hear.
Oh,
I want to know.
Go ahead.
I want to know.
You want to hear?
Go ahead. We never need to end this video.
Well, this is a different take because you heard him talk about it the entire time.
It's true.
So I'm watching. I'm not even playing, and I'm watching her play. And my fiance's been playing it, and at first I gotta say I love the music in the game. Mm-hmm. First, the music is fantastic. Like, it's awesome. Now, if you're going into this game thinking, oh, you're going to be catching Pokemon and battling them, obviously you didn't read behind the box. Mm-hmm. It literally states behind the box. This is an RPG that you're a scientist, you're looking for Pokemon.
Reading's hard.
That's what it is.
Reading's really hard, though.
And so she's playing it. I'm sure she's playing it right now. And she's been on it for quite some time, and she's really digging the game. And she likes the fact that it's different.
She's gonna have to make the kid wait. She's gonna make the kid wait until after she finishes the game.
Oh.
Yeah, right. But yeah, like, she's been loving it, man. Like, like at the end of the day, like, I'm watching and I'm like, I can see where you're coming from with some aspects.
So did you see where I came from with for me it being like my most cathartic game as well? Could you kind of see why I picked with that? Yeah.
Yeah, because you're doing stuff. You're constantly busy.
It's a more relaxing experience.
Yes, the world is a little bland. The world is a little empty.
But wait till you. Violent.
But because it's a little empty, you got to look at the context that it's in. Mm-hmm. There was no gyms. There's none of that stuff. They're still kind of primitive.
Right.
And that's where the whole thing comes in. It's like when you think of anything that's primitive like that, it's not gonna have all that stuff already. So I get it.
Yeah, and here, to be fair, I don't want to, argue away the fact that the world was empty, because it was. And that was one of my critiques pretty heavily when we talked about it way back when, was the world was pretty bland. It's not as bland as Scarlet and Violet, though. Like, Scarlet and Violet, I feel like, is emptier.
Yeah,
Scarlet and Violet is bigger.
Like,
so when I think back to Arceus, and we're dragging the Arceus out, but a part of me loves it. Like, I can picture each little mini hub world and remember something unique about each one of them. Like, in the first one,
I like the mud area where the Pokemon would actually, like, hide in the mud.
Like a mud area, but even more than that, like, there was this one water or like mountain in the first area you could fly to after you got to a certain point that had like a lake at the top. It was like Gyarados Mountain, and like they had the big tree area in the back, the sacred tree. Like, they had some more interesting. I
forgot about the sacred tree.
They had more interesting landmarks.
The sacred tree had like Beedrill and like insect Pokemon.
There was like some like ruins and like the caves you could go in. Like, it was still bland, but there was more thought put into some interesting landmarks and things in the world.
Area.
The snow area had some cool stuff with like the little village off to the side. Like, it was still bland, but compared to Scarlet and Violet, it feels like there was so much packed into it. Like, it's night and day in a lot of ways. So I look back more favorably just because of that.
And I feel like the Pokemon in Arceus were more engaging or active in the world. Like, they were actually doing a little bit more than they are in Violet.
I don't know if I would say that.
In Scarlet Violet, I feel like they are just grazing.
I feel like they were doing the same.
Really? Okay.
Seriously, I want to be very fair to Scarlet and
Now,
Violet.
now that activity is nothing like Pokemon Snap. At least in Snap, they
Oh
were
yeah,
like
that's
the
what we
newer
need.
Snap
We need
game.
Snap
That's a
levels of
different game,
integration.
though.
But that's
Yeah.
the kind of, like, when I think of, like, Pokemon in the world, I think about how they interact with it in, like, Pokemon Snap. Like, the way they're climbing up the tree and playing with each other. Like, I know that's a big ask, but I feel like they could get closer to it. I think what made it feel more like more was happening was the way you interact with the Pokemon. The research stuff you do gives you a reason to interact with each and every Pokemon in different ways. Either to collect them a certain way, to fight with them a certain way. They gave you all these things to do with each Pokemon. Violet and Scarlet does not do that. You capture the Pokemon, and that's it. And if it's a Pokemon you don't feel like it has any interest to be on your team, like you're like, I don't like the way it looks, I don't like the style, I don't think it's going to be a good part of my team, you can just ignore it. There's no reason to interact with it beyond that. Whereas Arceus gave you a reason to go after every single Mon and do something with it.
Every single Mon.
Every Mon.
Yeah.
So I think that's what did it for me. But once again, I am a collector when it comes to Pokemon more than a battler. I mean, I do a little bit of the dabbling with competitive stuff, but nowhere near as much as I just want to get them all. So.
Okay.
Anywho.
Did we let Gamer talk about
Oh no.
Tiny Tina's?
Never.
No, yeah.
We're just going to stop here.
Okay,
Arceus
so
won. I'm going to go ahead and just declare it now. Pokemon Arceus
We went
is
on
game
so
of the
long
year.
about Arceus.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, Tiny Tina's.
Okay. Real quick. I won't beat the dirt. I won't beat the horse. So, this is to be honest, this is the reason why I picked this one is because this was the first game I got to play in quite some time.
Really?
You guys pulled me out.
I mean, I
of
do
not
remember
playing
you were
games for a
having.
while.
I remember you having trouble making your pick too.
I
A little
was
bit, right? Yeah.
And this game, you guys pulled me out of the rut with this game because this is I remembered how much fun I was playing games with you guys.
Yeah.
And just kind of enjoying the company of playing a video game again because I've been busy at work and this is more of a personal pick. But I did enjoy the gameplay. Was obviously a lot like Borderlands, normal Borderlands game. The mechanics of more loot is always fun, so you can never go wrong with having that.
I really enjoyed
it's an overall good game.
I really enjoyed the Torg's opening section where the nuke.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Torg's always a good
Yeah,
time.
he's a great character. He's always a fun character.
Hercule Satan.
Yeah. I definitely get what you're saying. Like,
Satan.
I think, regardless if we're looking at this game from an objective standpoint, like, games, at least to a certain level, always can be subjective because the time of your life that you're in at that point, like, what you've been doing up to that point, who you're playing the game with, that can greatly impact your enjoyment of a game. And I agree, like, Tiny Tina's, I don't think objectively is the best game that came out this year, but I had a lot more fun with it than I had a lot of other arguably higher quality games. Like, if I had to put...
Elden Ring.
Yeah, and here's the, like, just to kind of pick the categories that are up here. If I could pick the time I had with Tiny Tina's versus the time I had with God of War, if I could only have one of those experiences, I would probably pick Tiny Tina's, to be honest.
Screw you guys. Hey,
the winner's already picked. So
Yeah, okay.
And it's not that God of War is not, like, a good game. Objectively, it is a great game. But Tiny Tina's was a lot of fun just to play on its own. We played with each other, which helped a lot. And I said, maybe it pulled you out of a rut or whatever it may be. So part of it, I'll tell you, for even why I enjoyed Arceus so much, is because I, as a kid, loved Pokemon. Had fallen off a lot in recent years. And this brought me back into it. I kind of felt like a kid again, just playing Arceus and dig into Pokemon and all that.
We need to get him into Everybody Saves the World. That one.
Nobody
Saves the World. That one was so much fun.
One of my friends told me about it, and he showed it to me when I was there.
Play it co-op if you can.
He was living in Colorado, and it was a super fun looking game.
We love that.
Changing
I love
into
that
different
game.
characters and
That was a
stuff.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our picks. I'm sure people are going to disagree with them, but, you know, too bad. It's our show.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, here we go. our favorite game on the Citadel Award or Game of the Year. This is the ultimate Game of the Year show or announcement.
It doesn't matter whatever the Video Game Awards said or IGN. This is the best
There is
game.
no other larger platform than the EnteR ChatZ MaN YouTube channel.
Elden Ring?
EnteR ChatZ MaN.
Elden Ring pops up. It's not even a nominee.
EnteR ChatZ MaN, IGN, Kotaku, whoever else you want to put there. All right, here we go. I'll stop dragging it out. So our Game of the Year is
Pokemon Arceus. Yay!
Yay! No, you're wrong. It is the one I picked. God of War Ragnarok.
Fine.
Yay!
Where's
God
Corey?
of War.
Where's Corey Barlog at? He's somewhere over here. Come here, Corey. There you go. Oh no, he's not even a part. He didn't even work on this game. I don't even think he did. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Great game. I'm not gonna say it's not. I know I've been arguing back and forth, but this is a quality game. I think it's a obvious choice.
I almost feel bad picking it because it's the game everyone was talking about for a little bit. So it's like
It's, as I said, we all pick favorite games for different reasons. Sometimes we pick them because we feel like they were, genre defining, or sometimes we pick them because the quality was at a certain level, or sometimes you pick it just because it made you feel a certain way. So I think our choices all kind of reflect different, rationale for what makes a game of the year. So
it's definitely. It's more of a cinematic experience. I could see why mainstream wise it is something that is very accessible for people. Like to me, it almost is a polar opposite of like an Elden Ring, where like Elden Ring it's not exactly super accessible or approachable, but like if you can get into that experience, you delve deep into the lore, into the world.
Got my fireworks for this one.
The world and the lore is like the thing, but like God of War, like it's more about the narrative and the cinematics and like the gameplay is an aspect, but. I don't know. I feel like you only walk away from that game really remembering, some of the cinematic aspects. Like, it feels like some of the gameplay is like a little on the back burner, if that makes any sense.
Sure. I thought the gameplay was good. Like, I think I've come across hard in our conversations.
I'm just trying to give you wiggle room to squeak in Arceus, right?
No, you don't need to. I here's the thing. I'm not ever going to, deny somebody's choice of game of the year. Because once again, I think it's honestly comes down to a subjective thing more than almost anything else. God of War, though, is a solid game.
I just mean Ragnarok is a super gamey game. It's a super gamey game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's an obvious choice. But it's still a good choice. I mean, hey, games are fun. As long as you had fun playing it, it's okay if that's your game of the year.